Okay, you can see here I've got a few more put on the piece, and I've scattered them kind of randomly, although if you wanted to do an even design you could certainly do that. That's not a problem. And I've also placed a few of them where I had my little design line going around this outside edge here. I've placed a few of them so they're kind of half on the design and half off the edge, and you'll see why in a minute. Okay, now these are all stuck down really well, and want to make sure again that they are stuck down well so that paint won't get up underneath them. Now I'm using just a plain old cosmetic sponge, one of those little things you can get at the drugstore or at Walmart, just a real fine poured little sponge, and just regular China paints, and I'm just going to sponge my whole design area. Not paying a whole lot of attention to what I'm doing. I'm kind of staying more in that little middle area that I marked off for myself, because that's where the main part of my color is going to go. But I also want to make sure that I get some color over the edges of all of these snowflakes. Have to get paint onto them, because if I don't have paint behind them, there's not going to be anything to show the design. Okay, so just a nice even sponge coat, and I like actually leaving a little bit of texture in the sponging. I think that kind of makes the effect even nicer, but if you like a smoother sponging, then by all means smooth it out so that you're pleased with it. Okay, now I've got my color on, and I want to do a little snowman design, so I just use what I kind of jokingly call my expensive German snowman brush, my little Q-tip here. And this particular Q-tip is one of the cheap ones, and so the cotton tip on it is kind of stiff and hard. The regular Q-tip tend to be a little bit softer, a little easier to use. So if you have a harder, more compact tip on the Q-tip, you might want to just loosen it up a bit. It'll work a little easier for you. Okay, now all I'm going to do is just do snowballs. So I'm going to start off, and I'm going to go right over some of these laser cuts. I'm not going to worry that they're there. So I'm going to do a snowball, and I'm just kind of wiping out an area for myself. Okay, another snowball on top of that, and the last snowball for his head. And as you can see, I've kind of got some paint left in there, and that's going to help me get some shading in there automatically. I want to wipe a little ground for myself here, so I'm just going to do a few little random strokes, and then I'm just going to take my square shader with a little bit of oil on it and just sort of lightly soften some of these areas. And like I said, this kind of gives you automatic shading. And you can fuss with this as much as you want to, or just do this as simply as you want. It's all up to you. Okay, I've got my basic little snowman design here. Now I'm going to use my wipeout tool and wipe out a scarf. And that's kind of just simply sort of a lazy U stroke, and then just sort of little curvy strokes on the side here for his scarf. Okay, and then I'm going to do a hat, and again using the wipeout tool, I'm going to give him a little stocking cap. Just kind of trying to get as much paint out as I can for right now, and I'll use my brush to clean this up. Give him a little pom-pom here. Okay, now I'll come back with my brush and clean this up a little bit. Especially here with the hat. I'm going to get this area really established and have no paint in it, except we're going to paint it in here in a second. Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to take another square shader, and I'm just going to paint the color in. And again, with this, you can do as little or as much as you want to. You can really fuss with this whole hat and scarf deal, and you can do stripes and, you know, whatever pleases you. I'm just going to do a little simple thing here, just sort of fill it in with color, just to give you a quick idea. Sometimes I like to play with it, and I find that if I take my square shader and on that little rim just do these little down strokes, I can make it almost look like a knit hat. It's kind of fun. Okay, and let's give him a nice Christmas green scarf here. Same deal with this. You can do it as simply as you want to, or you can fuss as much as you want to. Stripes are fun. Polka dots are fun. Just going to give him a little plain old green scarf. So. Okay. And now comes the fun part. We give him a little character. Going to get some black china paint and just give him some eyes. And what I do when I'm laying this down is I'll lay a little puddle of paint down and then kind of wiggle it a little bit, and that will give you this kind of serendipitous edge. So it looks like coal, kind of gives you these little random edges. Okay, I'll give him some buttons here. Okay. While I've got some dark color on my brush, I'm going to give him some arms. And just pressing down a little bit more with my brush as I go. That kind of gives you a little bit of a natural highlight right in that branch. Okay, and then this is my favorite part, giving him the nose. Gonna do this kind of quick, but I'll also go back at the end of this lesson and do a little slower lesson on how I do this stroke, because it's really kind of fun and it's good for a lot of different things, but it makes a great nose. What I'm actually doing is using the brush sideways instead of using it straight up and down. And I'm doing the same thing that I did with the eyes, that I'm just putting a little deposit of paint right there and sort of wiggling it as I go, and then pull it sideways. Try it one more time. Lay it, wiggle it, and then pull it sideways. And then that will give you the little carrot nose. And as I said, I'll do this again for you kind of slower at the end of this lesson. All right, we got our snowman. Now it's time to get back the little edge of the design that I had on there originally, the little border. So just going to take a little piece of paper towel on my finger, and actually, if you have one of those sponges, that the sponge on a roll things, the athletic tape, that works really great because it will pick up the paint and hold it instead of just kind of smearing it around. I don't happen to have one handy, so I'm just going to use a little bit of paper towel wrapped around my finger for now. And I'm wiping this edge just because I want to show you this little design on the edge that will happen here in a minute. Okay, so that's all I'm doing, is just giving myself a clean edge to work from. Okay, I want to try to make that edge as even as I can. And you can see that I'm trying to get all the paint off of the snowflakes here on the clean edge. I want to make sure that there's no paint left